Alright everyone, and welcome to the Highland Collector YouTube channel. Now, as you may already know, the Black Series started back in 2013, and within those first 10 years, the quality of figures have improved massively for the most part. With better articulation, paint outs, face sculpts, the Black Series figures has really come a long way, for the most part. However, there are some really important Star Wars characters that have kind of been left in the dust, who were made all those years ago but are now ultimately outdated. And sure, Hasbro may have re-released some of these figures, but have not actually put in any real effort to make them any better from when they were first released. And it's annoying because there's so many iconic characters and looks that are in the Black Series, but their figures just honestly look kinda horrible. And even though Hasbro claim they aim to have core characters available at all time for newer collectors, which is a great idea, I'm all for, their recent pipeline reveals show just how out of touch they are, as some of the characters they choose to remake are another Mandalorian who we already have so many different versions of, to the point where I don't know how this one can be any different to the last one, and also Vader. And yes, whilst it is good to get a new version of that New Hope Vader, who is a figure that actually needed a remake, we just have so many different Vaders on the market at the moment to the point where it's just going to be oversaturated with him, especially when we did just get a New Hope Vader revealed in the Archive Wave 2, which is just insulting considering, like I said, there are so many figures that are in desperate need of a remake. Therefore, in this video I'm going to go over the top 10 Star Wars Black Series figures that Hasbro desperately need to remake. Coming in at the number 10 spot we have Darth Maul from The Phantom Menace, who is actually one of the oldest Black Series figures. But the reason why he's last on the list is because similar to Vader, we've gotten a ton of him recently, and I just don't think it's a good idea to have too many on the shelves at once. Because again, I don't care how cool of a character Maul is, if we keep seeing him, we're eventually going to get tired of him, because the line does need a bit of variety. But with that being said, within the next couple years I'd really like to see this Phantom Menace figure revisited, as that original version from the Orange Wave, which came out about a decade ago, is super outdated, and I think we're entitled to a new one that isn't just a repack or another repack, with superior art which we haven't gotten before and would be an incredible new inclusion. Now, next up at the number 9 spot is actually the IG Assassin droid, so that goes for both IG-88 as well as IG-11 from The Mandalorian, but more so IG-88 because he was the original and is probably my favourite. But the thing with this figure is that he does look the part and has some great details and comes with some awesome accessories too, yet for starters these droids are just not to scale with the rest of the figures, as they're just too small. Therefore they would really benefit from a new mould that makes them a lot bigger and bulkier, so they tower over everyone else like they should do. And in addition to this, their articulation in some places is quite weird and lacking. And Hasbro has been doing a really amazing job with their new droid sculpts lately, and so I'd really love them to revisit these assassin droids and make the improvements in the future. And with IG-11 now alive and well in The Mandalorian, I think we could see the return of these guys soon. However, it wouldn't be until Mando Season 4 comes out, which could be a while, but then again it seems like the perfect time for Hasbro to remake these droids. In at number 8 is another Episode 5 bounty hunter who really needs a massive update, and that's of course the Empire Strikes Back version of Boba Fett. And the original figure, again from 2013, is actually not bad, considering it was one of the first Black Series figures Hasbro ever released. But since then we've gotten a way better Boba Fett in that deluxe Return of the Jedi figure which released back in 2021, which just blows this one and all its repaints out of the water. With better articulation, sculpts, paint jobs, it really is just a huge upgrade. But it would be so easy for Hasbro to just take this new figure and rework it a little bit to give him that Empire Strikes Back look, as there is quite a large difference between the two original Boba Fett costumes, as the Episode 5 armour has a slightly different shade of green, his legs and torso are more bluish, and obviously his gauntlets are green as well. And in addition to this, it would obviously be great to see that tan softgoods cape return, because it does admittedly look way better than the one seen in Return of the Jedi. But again, although we do sorely need an upduel with Vader in Cloud City, and that is why he deserves an entirely new figure, not just a re-release with an updated head. But yeah, that original figure was really rough. I mean, it looks nothing like Mark Hamill at all, the likeness is horrendous, and like the case with many of these older figures, the articulation just isn't there. But in 2020 we did get a whole new Dagobah Luke Skywalker, which does have a lot of new elements that could be carried over to a future Bespin version of Luke. For example, the new head looks leaps and bounds better, and this could easily be updated by adding a black eye, and maybe you could even see an alternative screaming head just for the memes. And perhaps we could even get a removable hand as well. But coming in at number 6 is actually another version of Luke Skywalker. Yeah, the early years of the Black Series did this character no justice. But anyway, Farm Boy Luke definitely needed a spot on this list, and Hasbro is yet to make it into a well-designed figure, as the original release from 2016 is just not very good in my opinion. The face sculpt and overall likeness has to be one of the worst of all time, and furthermore, this is one of the few times where softgoods actually ruins a figure, as again, in my opinion, I think his tunic just looks ridiculous. Now, we did see a re-release of this figure in 2021 as part of Lucasfilm's 50th anniversary on that Power of the Force card back. But even then, it was just the head sculpt they updated, and it isn't even that much better than the original, to be honest. So I think Hasbro just need to start from scratch with this one, because like I said, it is one of Luke Skywalker's most iconic outfits, if not the most iconic, and you can't really have any sort of Mos Eisley display without it. But speaking of staple looks from episode 4, my number 5 spot goes to Han Solo in his classic smuggler's outfit from A New Hope, which again is another figure who released back in 2013. We have actually seen multiple times. Most recently he was released with Luke on that Power of the Force card back in 2021, with the only changes again being to the head, in which it's the same. But to revisit this one in the present day, it would make for an absolute banger. Up next at number 4 and completing the original trio is Huttslayer Leia, or more commonly known as Slave Leia. Yet another figure from 2013 which honestly might be one of the worst in the line and really needs that remake. I mean, we were close to seeing it re-released back in 2020, however Commander Cody won the archive fan vote, which is a bit of a shame because unlike Cody, there is a chance that Hasbro will never make another Slave Leia again, just because it is a rather controversial outfit, and also the use of the word slave is apparently troublesome in the eyes of Lucasfilm and Disney. But despite this, they can always just change the name to Huttslayer Leia, because I think everyone's in agreement that we desperately need this figure to be revisited, as it is an essential look for Leia, and any Jabba's Palace display is frankly incomplete without its conclusion, which is why we need a better version of this character with updated articulation and also a face that actually looks like Carrie Fisher. Now we finally made it to the top 3, and my third pick is of course Jango Fett, who first joined the line way back in 2016, and it's safe to say this sculpt really needs working on, as the articulation is rather poor, yet for some reason Hasbro keeps using it, even though there are way better Mandalorian figures out there, such as the Deluxe Return of the Jedi Boba Fett, which again is incredible. And I think Jango would really benefit if Hasbro was to remake him in that same way. I take it we've all seen Star Wars Black Series concepts render of what a deluxe Jango would look like, and having this figure as a reality would literally be a dream come true for so many collectors. And it truly baffles me how Hasbro hasn't done this already, as last year was the Attack of the Clones 20th anniversary, and that would have been the perfect time to do this, as we could have gotten an up-to-date Jango Fett with so many extra accessories, including the flame and jetpack pieces we saw with Boba, in addition to a soft goods poncho, his headset, his pistol, the grappling hook. I mean, this has potential to be one of the greatest Black Series figures ever, and I just wish Hasbro would hurry up and remake this thing already. Now the runner-up and penultimate figure on this list is Obi-Wan. Just isn't great either, as it's way too small, which they did try to improve upon with its archive release, but that still doesn't do this version of Kenobi any justice. But hopefully in 2025 we will finally see a proper updated remake of this figure for Revenge of the Sith's 20th anniversary. But finally, the number 1 figure I really want Hasbro to remake is of course Anakin Skywalker from Revenge of the Sith, who for years now has been in desperate need of some TLC. The last time we saw the character in this essential Star Wars outfit was in the archive line back in 2019, which did make some improvements upon that original figure, such as a better head and also a correct colour skirt piece. Although not an awful figure by any means, it does definitely need some modern updates to it, as it's plagued by the usual suspects, those being bad articulation and not so perfect sculpts and paint. And of course, like his master, he would definitely benefit by finally getting his soft goods robe. But Anakin did have a fairly large role in the recent Ahsoka show, and the majority of the screen time he was wearing his Revenge of the Sith attire, so it would make all the sense in the world for Hasbro to finally remake this figure in that Ahsoka line. And in doing so, we could get a ton of accessories as well, including the extra head and also both lightsabers. And because of all this, I am fairly confident that we will see a new Anakin figure in the Ahsoka line soon, just because then Hasbro could make even more money by re-releasing it again in 2025 for Revenge of the Sith's 20th anniversary, because Hasbro must know how popular this version of Anakin is. I mean, he is the chosen one after all, and especially considering those original figures go for an insane amount of money on the secondary market, which is why I personally think that Anakin from Revenge of the Sith is the Black Series figure who is in the most desperate need for a remake. So I think that about does it for this video. Let me know down below in the comments what you think of my list, and also what figures you'd love to see Hasbro remake in the future, because there are a load more than the ones I've just mentioned. Anyway, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.